seconds that you have.
Exactly. Like, how many combos do you have to deal with here, right? Annihilate
plus... Which do you prioritize?
Exactly. There's so many different options. So let's see. I expect Electabuzz, King Gambit, and Rillaboom from Daniel Reyes' side. And it's going to be Snorlax and Indeedee, so here we go. The idea here is you try to go for Follow Me and Belly Drum most of the times. Of course, you do threaten with Trick Room as well. There's the Electabuzz and King Gambit. Now there's the pressure of Taunt and Swords Dance. So a lot going on here.
Yeah, show me the combo. Here comes Electabuzz and King Gambit. Like you mentioned, has the ability to threaten the Taunt onto either the Indeedee or the Snorlax. So taunting the Snorlax to prevent the Belly Drum, taunting the Indeedee to prevent any Trick Room action, while King Gambit able to boost itself up and potentially be able to start, you know, once Daniel Bezerra has used all of his tools to sort of get those early KOs, King Gambit coming back out here with a boost or two, being able to sweep the team.
So let's see. I think Taunt Swords Dance is a really safe play on turn one. For the opposing side, you have to worry about Follow Me plus Belly Drum, right? So yeah, I think it's just going to be the Follow Me Belly Drum set. Turn two is what's going to be really interesting, right? Because then you do pressure with the +6 Earthquake, and your Indeedee is taunted. This is not Mentor of Indeedee, so it's not really going to be able to provide too much pressure in the next turn. Can only go for that Psychic. So a lot of setup coming out from both ends here. But I do think the Electabuzz King Gambit is the right response here. Snorlax now sets up that Belly Drum. Cuss That Berry will activate next turn. So you're thinking, well, Earthquake looks pretty strong right now, but you can just switch in the Rillaboom right now. Or you can actually consume the Cuss That Berry, force Snorlax to basically consume it by just protecting your Pokemon.
Yeah, lots of options there. Again, once Snorlax uses the Cuss That Berry, it will not be able to move first in the priority bracket again. That will be it. Daniel Bezerra will have eliminated that resource and needs to get something out of it. This is the whole point of the team.
Oh, this is so interesting, though. You can see the contemplation of just going for Follow Me, Dark Terra, and the Kowtow Cleave, but you do... okay.
It's +6.
Yeah, it's +6. So, yeah, the question is, first of all, is it Earthquake? There's the Cuss That Berry activating. Here we go. You don't see this very often in VGC. Indeedee is going to switch out. You can bring in Farigiraf right now, which, of course, has the Air Balloon, but it's going to be the Torkoal instead. So getting the offensive option out. If Torkoal's coming out, then I wouldn't expect
the Earthquake.
Yeah.
Yeah, the threat of Rillaboom in the back must have scared Bezerra off of that Earthquake. We are going to see the first terrestrialization that will be the King Gambit. A Body Slam or even a Rock Slide, which is the other attack on Snorlax. Also, the Snorlax is Terra Rock. Could have potentially gotten another boost to that Rock Slide, but, you know, just going to be the Follow Me and the terrestrialization as Snorlax's Body Slam connects on Electabuzz, picks up a one-hit KO, of course. Snorlax, Body Slam, +6, easy one-hit KO. But King Gambit now is able to fire off this Kowtow Cleave. It actually is going to target down the Torkoal. That is also going to be a one-hit KO.
Yeah, I think Daniel Reyes definitely has the advantage right now. You have Rillaboom, as you see, for potential fake-out pressure. So we don't see the Earthquake come out. I was wondering if +6 Earthquake would knock out the King Gambit without the grassy terrain decreasing its damage output. But like you called out, probably worried about Rillaboom switching in, wants to go for Body Slam. But it's not really a great trade here at the end of the day, right? Because Trick Room is not up on the opposing side. The Snorlax cannot protect. Indeedee comes out. Now you're really vulnerable to just Scale Shot as well as a Kowtow Cleave onto either slot.
Yeah. You are vulnerable to it, but now the taunt has worn off of the Indeedee. Does have the option of being able to use Follow Me again, but even more importantly, that Dragonite showing the Haze attack here to be able to remove all those boosts off of Snorlax.
Yeah, so it's interesting because King Gambit obviously is boosted, but the idea here is, you know what? I don't really care about Snorlax if it doesn't have that +6 attack. A neutral Snorlax, not nearly as scary, right?
Neutral Snorlax at 50% hit points, not under Trick Room, who cares?
Exactly, yeah. And so I think here it makes sense because you still presumably get the knockout onto the Indeedee. Of course, we can see a Terra from the opposing side. It is going to be that Water Terra. But it's going to be Snorlax going for the Terra. Okay.
We've got Rock Slides incoming.
So I think the haste play, I mean, works out really well here, right? Because you presumably would just knock out the Indeedee. And the Snorlax is not really going to do that much damage, so going for Follow Me, but the haze covers for this beautifully.
Yeah, the haze is a perfect cover for the Follow Me Rock Slide play. That is no longer a +6 Snorlax at half health. It is just at half health and Rock type. Here comes the Kowtow Cleave, a big KO onto that Indeedee. Another one-hit KO coming out from King Gambit. Again, Bisharp received an evolution after previously winning the Latin American International Championships. Here's the Rock Slide. Actually deals a decent amount of damage to the Dragonite through the multi-scale there. Potentially, it does look like another Rock Slide would be enough to pick up the KO on that Dragonite without the multi-scale anymore. But the final Pokemon being Farigiraf means King Gambit just, it's so happy.
Yeah, you have to get through a couple of things here, right? Like, Daniel Reyes' team has the taunt from the Electabuzz. King Gambit's such a good offensive option as well. Torkoal was kind of just sacrificed in this game as well. It could have been Farigiraf on the switch in there, but this is the problem when you don't get that Trick Room up. So, Scale Shot's coming out now, but Snorlax just still is not going to be able to do that much damage even if it survives the turn. I think 4 hits might just get it here.
It looks close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 4 hits to KO the Snorlax. That means that Snorlax had no chance after the Scale Shot landed. That Pokemon will go down. Just the Farigiraf that only has Psychic and Dazzling Gleam as offensive options. Dazzling Gleam would do good damage into the King Gambit, but it's not even going to get a chance. Here is a third Kowtow Cleaves. King Gambit, 3 for 3 on Kowtow Cleaves, picking up 1-hit KOs. That's it for that Farigiraf.
Yeah, great play with the Haze. Once again, this is like the 3rd time on stream that we've seen Haze being used to get rid of boosts.
Yeah,
and
so many different applications of Haze.
Exactly, yeah. Like, it's been used against so many different Pokemon, right? We've seen it being used, obviously, in this set. We saw it used to get rid of an attack drop on a player's own side with Dragonite and Ursaluna being intimidated, getting rid of those attack drops. And so I don't know, it's just really interesting to see how good Haze Dragonite is across the board here with how much setup exists in the format. And so I think really good counterplay to the Snorlax strategy specifically, not really giving it too much room to operate. The key turn with Snorlax was really that follow me turn, right? If you don't get that, like Snorlax there could maybe apply some pressure if I had gone for a Rock Terra, Rock Slide, or that Earthquake. The question is, I mean, King Gambit's honestly a really bulky Pokemon, so maybe even at +6 it can survive, but this turn you see Body Slam knocks out the Electabuzz, but it's not really the trade you want because King Gambit's the main damage dealer. Yeah,
King Gambit was dealing all of the damage, and it does feel extremely scary to try to take on that King Gambit. Earthquake feels like it's not a real option because of the terrestrialization and the threat of Rillaboom switching in. But Body Slam feels really bad to click into King Gambit.
Yeah.
If it stays Steel type, then you just halved your damage. And Rock Slide isn't going to do anything to the Steel type King Gambit either.
Yeah, so the question is, if you are expecting the same lead, what do you lead with? And normally, I would not consider leading Torkoal. But Torkoal actually can punish Electabuzz King Gambit really heavily here because your choice specs, you have the Heat Wave immediately. Now, there is that switch in of Dragonite, but you can break multi-scale as it switches in, and nothing else really wants to take a Heat Wave, right? Daniel was also not able to set up Trick Room in that last match at all, so prioritizing setting up Trick Room a little bit more could be valuable, but you might want to get the offense first and then try to set up Trick Room. And so Snorlax was really cool there, but Daniel Reyes had kind of the perfect counterplay to it, so I'm curious if we see an adjustment outside of Snorlax, because I think it's not the most reliable strategy. You have to get that one turn correctly. So I'm curious if Torkoal comes out now.
Will be the other switch up into Armarouge and the King Gambit, again into the Electabuzz and King Gambit. The Armarouge and Annihilate into the Electabuzz and King Gambit for Daniel Reyes. So the same leads, Daniel Reyes saying, I proved that I could take on the Snorlax version of the team with this lead. Show me that you can beat it with something else before I make a new game plan.
Totally. And, I mean, this Annihilate is Ground Terra Earthquake, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, like, Ghost Terra Electabuzz is really scary in this situation because you could Ghost Terra and suddenly become immune to Final Gambit and Close Combat. You don't really want to go for the U-turn play here. I mean, even if you pull it off, like, you have to switch something in. Is Armarouge going to get the knockouts? I mean, it does have Heat Wave, but then you have to deal with Follow Me potentially from Electabuzz. And so, let's see. I think this turn 1 will already really set the pace of this game. And there's the Terra on the Annihilate. Terra Ground Annihilate. This is not something you see often, folks.
Annihilate is going to start stamping its feet in rage and make the entire stadium quake as Armarouge is protecting itself, goes for the Endurance.
This is so sick!
No terrestrializations from Daniel Reyes. This is just going to be the Electabuzz. Sucker Punch 2! Oh no, oh no! Daniel Bezerra has gotten everything that he needed and wanted out of this turn. Earthquake connecting onto both King Gambit and Electabuzz, only dealing just under half to the King Gambit and about 70 damage to the Electabuzz, but will now activate Armarouge's weak armor, will now activate Armarouge's weakness policy, giving it incredible boosts across the board. And now this Annihilate is free to switch out into either the Farigiraf or the Indeedee to stop any priority attacks.
Oh yeah, I think Farigiraf here is really just would be a perfect switch in. You block the priority. Indeedee is obviously strong for this turn, but then you have to deal with the Rillaboom coming out afterwards. Critically, this Armarouge does not have Protect, so you have to be careful, right? Because if you manage to Psycho in Rillaboom, you are vulnerable to getting hit by a Fake Out. You can see the Rillaboom pivot right now, and the Dark Terra Sucker Punch, so let's see if this is Farigiraf switching in for the Annihilate slot. It would be absolutely huge. Is it Indeedee or is it Farigiraf? Farigiraf would be perfect here. It is Farigiraf, the absolute ace in the hole here. Rillaboom is going to come in, but of course the Farigiraf is going to block that Sucker Punch, and Daniel BEZERRA with the banger starts to game 2 here.
Yeah, Daniel BEZERRA is getting everything that he needs out of both of these turns. The terrain is set, but that's just going to start healing the Armarouge, as Farigiraf doesn't need to worry about the terrain at all. Just by virtue of being on the field, the Armor Tail ability will prevent Sucker Punches from coming through from King Gambit. Now, here is the problem. Heat Wave can miss.
Oh, don't manifest it, Evan. Don't do it. The Armarouge just worked so hard to get into this spot. Oh, it's just going to be Stored Power. Okay.
Very safe. Ooh, okay. Rillaboom just barely hanging on there. That Assault Vest, just enough extra bulk to protect itself from that stored power, which has +2 attack, +2 special attack, and +1 speed.
That's
I
right.
believe, yeah.
Yep.
So 5 boosts on Armarouge. So 5 boosted stored power. Rillaboom survives just barely, but to what end?
Where do you go from here is the question. Like, to me, you have to somehow, like, get Dragonite in safely while protecting your Pokemon as well, right? So here, like, maybe you protecting Gambit, sacrifice Rillaboom, get Dragonite in safely, and then go from there. Because I think, like, you really don't want to break your multi-scale before you come out. Now this Farigiraf, by the way, it's an interesting set. It's Calm Mind as well, so you can start Calm Minding up. But yeah, Rillaboom's actually going to pivot out here, so the idea might be to just go for a sacrifice here, giving up the Electabuzz.
The Electabuzz, probably the least important Pokemon remaining on the field, sitting at just over 50% there. If any Pokemon was going to be sacrificed to this Armarouge, that is most likely the correct one. Here comes the Heat Wave from that Armarouge. Will not do any damage to King Gambit. Will connect onto the Electabuzz. Easy pickup on that Pokemon, as that Pokemon will go down. So Daniel Reyes now has the ability to bring in the Dragonite and potentially Haze, because it does still have the multi-scale up.
That's right. What is scary, though, is your King Gambit is still exposed to a +2 Heat Wave, right? So, yeah, this is the setup we're talking about. Get Dragonite in safely. The question now is, do you just go for a double protect? I actually think that might be the best bet from this angle.
That, or you sacrifice the Rillaboom just to buy time for, King Gambit to come back in and clean up with those Kowtows.
Oh, okay, it looks like it's going to be the Scale Shot Hover instead. So I think, yeah, you could decide between Scale Shot. You can't Extreme Speed here, obviously, because Farigiraf is out. So your main decision is, okay, I can either Scale Shot or go for the Haze. But the Armarouge, of course, does have the speed boost on the opposing side. So your Haze would only go off after Armarouge attacks. So the idea here is, you know what? I'm just going to try to get 2 knockouts. But if Heat Wave knocks out King Gambit, you don't really have that much damage into Farigiraf. So the question I have is, does +2 Heat Wave knock out the King Gambit? Here we go!
Oh,
it does.
Oh, come on, Aaron. What are you talking about? Don't talk nonsense on our stream. King Gambit goes down to that Heat Wave. Will be big damage, big piece off the board. Dragonite's multi-scale has been broken. We'll go ahead and scale shot
a couple more
Armarouge.
Boosts on the way out. This one probably just KOs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, BEZERRA was able to stick around with that Armarouge. Didn't even boosted the stored power even further.
Armarouge was so good in this one, though, and I don't want to call the game quite yet, but this Farigiraf alone is already looking pretty scary. You get a single target Dazzling Game. That does so much into Dragonite. Rillaboom is so low as well, and Daniel still has a 4th hidden Pokemon as well. It is going to actually reveal the Indeedee. So
interesting.
I was wondering if maybe you would want to just go into the Annihilate first to not reveal your 4th one immediately, but Indeedee makes a lot of sense, and we're going to see the terrain change right now.
Yeah, so now Psychic Terrain on the field. Of course, doesn't actually affect the Farigiraf, but that doesn't matter because it has Armor Tail as well. Kind of a really interesting priority matchup there.
Oh, man, this was so fun, and this is why you can see Daniel is able to go 5-0 with this team, right? There's so many unique modes, whether you commit to Snorlax Indeedee, whether you commit to the Annihilate plus the Armarouge combo and the Ground Terra Earthquake. Crucial to get that chip damage on a King Gambit as well in turn 1, since there was no Terra on either Electabuzz or the King Gambit.
Yeah, extremely important. You know, the Terra there absolutely critical to get as much damage as possible down onto that King Gambit, because by terastallizing into the Dark type, it's not guaranteed that Armarouge would have had the damage even after the weakness policy boost to pick up that KO. So now, if you're Daniel Marcelo Reyes, what do you do? There was an answer to the Electabuzz and King Gambit, and it was the Armarouge and Annihilate variant. What do you do if you're Daniel Becerra?
Yeah.
You saw that that worked, and your Snorlax mode got stopped hard by the Electabuzz and King Gambit.
Yep.
But what if Reyes comes up with tries to counter specifically the Annihilate and the Armarouge counter? Then maybe the Snorlax looks good again.
Totally, yeah. And I think Snorlax is just so scary because it's like, oh, if I get this one turn right, maybe I've got a shot, but it kind of leans all in. So I think you could just run it back if you're Daniel Becerra. I think Torkoal is still an interesting lead.
Yeah.
It's just like obviously really risky because it's so slow, but the reason I keep mentioning is because of the offensive pressure it puts against the Electabuzz Rillaboom lead specifically.
Yeah.
And for Daniel Reyes, you might just be willing to play a little bit safer, right? Like go for double protect on turn 1 to scout out for what is going to happen from the opposing side, or go for a Terra. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both players run it back, but just with different options and moves from turn 1.
Absolutely. Well, we are headed into Game 3.
Whoa.
The winner of this game will be in Day 2. The loser will continue to play in the tournament and potentially make it into Day 2 later on in the game, later on in the day. But here we are in Turn 1. Big change. It's both Farigiraf and Indeedee on the field for Daniel Becerra, and Reyes has the Electabuzz and the King Gambit. So Daniel Becerra has gone all in on Trick Room. This is what you lead when you need to get Trick Room up against Electabuzz.
Yeah, and what you really don't want to do if you're Daniel Reyes right now, I think, is actually take a knockout. You do not want to KO the Indeedee. I think Follow Me plus Trick Room here is really safe from the opposing side. Taunt Sword Stance, I think, is the appropriate response here. What you have to be very careful about is Torkoal switching in, right? And so, yeah, like, you could play really risky on this turn 1 and say, you know what, like, I'm just going to hard switch in Torkoal and try to, like, call where Taunt is going, but it's so risky. Taunt plus Trick Room is the safe play here. However, now you have to get your Torkoal in as King Gambit does not take the bait, goes for the Sword Stance. This is a really, really smart play. Yeah, the hard part now for Daniel Becerra is to get that Torkoal in. And it really is going to have to be if Reyes lets him get that Pokemon in. At this point, the Farigiraf and Indeedee are not threatening at all to either of the Pokemon on Daniel Marcelo Reyes' side. King Gambit could get to +6 and then just be ready for anything. Yeah, this turn I think is really crucial, right? Because like both of these Pokemon want to switch out right now. The Indeedee is the one that is taunted, right? So you would think that's the more obvious switch out option. So let's see, it's Farigiraf switching out. We saw the Dark Terra hover. If that's just Torkoal coming in, it might get popped. And no, it is Torkoal. Oh no, Torkoal, you're in danger. Why would you switch in? Don't do it, buddy. Here comes the terastallization from the King Gambit, going to make sure that this Pokemon is dealing as much damage as possible. Daniel Marcelo Reyes has split damage to at least get some damage on the Torkoal, depending on wherever it switched in, but caught the Torkoal on the perfect switch-in slot. Kowtow Cleave onto Torkoal, one-hit KO once again. And I think this team and this strategy for Game 3 relied very much on Torkoal. With Torkoal down now, you do not have that much damage. Indeedee and Farigiraf are helpful to set up Trick Room, but they're not going to do that much damage under Trick Room, and certainly won't be able to handle this King Gambit. Dark Terra King Gambit is so scary with that Sword Stance boost. There's really no good response at this point, right? Like, Farigiraf switches in, okay, you can Dazzling Gleam Psychic, King Gambit just gets another knockout, so that's not great. Armarouge is just going to feign, and Farigiraf comes back out, so that turn was so crucial. You know, I think it makes a lot of sense to switch out the Farigiraf there, because the Indeedee is this obvious switch out target, right? Like, surely he's going to switch it out. He's not going to just stay in and keep clicking Psychic with it. Psychic into Electabuzz King Gambit? Exactly, yeah. So it was very much just, are you able to call who switches out correctly that turn, and King Gambit just gets the knockout. And I think it's really tough for Daniel Becerra to come back in this one now. You just don't have your main offensive option. How do you deal with King Gambit? Yeah, it's going to be really, really tough for Daniel Becerra to get back into this. Snorlax, though, as the fourth Pokemon, there is another offensive threat under Trick Room, but it remains incredibly risky to have to switch in a Pokemon in Trick Room in front of a Swords Dance boosted Terra Dark King Gambit. And, you know, Daniel Becerra is trying to protect Farigiraf here with this terastallization,
I'm not entirely convinced it will be enough with this Terra Dark, Black Glasses, and Swords Dance boosted Kowtow Cleave.
So many multipliers. Does it get the knockout still? It does. This King Gambit, just nothing on the opposing side that really resists it. And Daniel Reyes finds the perfect spot to position it and critically gets that knockout. I cannot express how different this game would be if the Torkoal switched in safely and into defense, because then you get Farigiraf in safely and you can just go for Fire, Terra, Eruption, plus Calm Mind or Dazzling Gleam. But Snorlax now not really able to do enough damage. It does not have enough time to set up, I think, and do enough damage here. Indeedee comes back out. We know there's Rillaboom, there's Dragonite in the back, so I think we should see Daniel Reyes take this one, but really good use of Electabuzz and King Gambit and great targeting in this one.
Absolutely. There is still the option of using Follow Me and the Belly Drum, so you get one turn of the Custap Berry Snorlax, but that's just not going to be enough. It looks like BEZERRA's team has run out of gas in this third game. And, you know, really well played by Daniel Marcelo Reyes to identify the places that Daniel BEZERRA was going to try to sneak some of these Pokemon in. Held off. Well, you know what? I say that, but there is Rock Slide.
Oh, okay, okay.
There's one. There's a Psychic into the Electabuzz. That's actually going to pick up the KO.
Yeah. But now you just bring out Rillaboom, you fake out Kowtow Cleave, knock out Indeedee, and then, just double up on the Snorlax.
Yeah.
So, this is the main thing. The Snorlax set is really, really ingenious, but you need to be able to set it up, and it requires a fair amount of investment to get it going as well, because you essentially want the redirection, you want the priority as well, or you want to stop the priority as well. So, yeah, fake out plus Kowtow now, really, really effective. And I think King Gambit, just so much damage it comes from it in this game, right? So you really need to knock it out earlier, which is why I was kind of suggesting the Torkoal lead, but the main thing is if you lead Torkoal, what else are you really leading it next to it? I thought Annihilate Torkoal might be the most logical option, but I think Indeedee Farigiraf was a really smart adjustment as well, but this is the hard thing about using Hard Trick. You have to get that turn correctly and get your sweeper in safely.
Yeah, if you miss one of those turns, especially with leading both of your Trick Room setters, it's really difficult to have any kind of offensive pressure as we're seeing here. Here comes the Kowtow Cleave from the King Gambit after the fake out into the Snorlax. That's just going to clean up the Indeedee here, and now it is just Snorlax. Snorlax, you brought Daniel BEZERRA to a 5-0 record in the first 5 rounds of the day. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be enough to get him to 6-0, but you still got 2 more games to go. Just need one more win to make it into day 2, and I would be really excited to see Daniel BEZERRA make it into day 2. I'm so happy for him that he made it this far, and still 2 more games to go. But Daniel Marcelo Reyes not falling for any